Hello, hello, hello. This is Miss Cece coming to you from my home. Um, Today is going to be our final information, passing on final three series of one chapter. I'm doing this from a book called 13 Things Mentally Strong Women Do Not Do. We have been doing 2 other sessions, and this is our final one today. And the chapter is called They Don't Blame Themselves When Something Goes Wrong. At this point, we are talking about how to deal with self-blame when you're victimized. There is a cycle of being able to give yourself a break. In the cycle of self-blame, you feel or you will feel as if you are a guinea pig on a wheel or hamster on a wheel, and you're working so hard and you're going so fast, you know, and your life and the things that you're accepting as okay behavior, uh, the things that you're taking on responsibility for when it belongs to somebody else, all of these things affect that cycle. And you constantly find things that you can punish yourself for and take blame for. This cycle of going around, it has to do with what you're self-blaming yourself for and how you're punishing yourself. Okay? Like I said earlier, self-blame could be that your responsibilities are not being met, that you're doing somebody else's job in your job, and you blame yourself. You have been molested or raped, and because there's no safe place to talk to someone, you blame yourself. Or you are that little girl where her big brother hit her, and mama came back and said, "So what did you do to provoke him? I told you to not do that." So those were my examples of self-blame. Now, punishing yourself may come in the form of these items. You may punish yourself by physical harm to your body. I know of women that are cutters, that are bulimic, that they may eat, but immediately they throw up. I know women that take diuretics and laxatives, and they do it all the time just to clean out their stomachs. There are so many things that you could do physically to hurt yourself. There's things that you can do psychologically that will hurt yourself, that will hurt you as a punishment for you not doing what you're supposed to do, what you're responsible for. Punishing yourself, not taking care of your health, punishing yourself, not endorsing yourself for the work that you've done to get your master's degree, because that's not good enough. You're punishing yourself. Or perhaps you're punishing yourself because you went and got that bachelor's degree for a certain job and you didn't get the job, so you got stuck, and you start punishing yourself. Okay. So Self-blame and trauma often go hand in hand. Don't just blame their behavior, they blame their character. Self-blame and trauma go hand in hand in the way that a person would not only blame their behavior, what they did and what they didn't do, they also blame their character. Well, maybe I shouldn't be the type of person that they can depend on all the time. Maybe that's my problem. That's my fault. Or maybe I shouldn't be the one that smiles all the time and greets all the customers that comes to the window. Say, "Good morning. How are you?" And be chipper. Maybe, yeah, I need to stop doing that. That's my fault that happened because I didn't smile. Wow. We talked about post-traumatic syndrome being something that can be military related, as people going to war and war zones. And I told you, I said, it could be something like that. We're using post-traumatic stress syndrome at I want to say back in 2014 more liberally with military personnel, but it also can be a normal person that suffered a traumatic incident in which they question their character and they question their behavior as far as whose fault it was. But there's a way out of this. And Miss Morin is saying that if we can break it down, put the facts with the facts, fiction with fiction, then we may be able to look at both of them and see that we don't need to blame ourselves, can see it clearly. Fact, meaning that, okay, I've worked for this company for 16 years. Fiction is an emotion. I feel like I'm not going anywhere in this company after 16 years because I don't have this, and that. Or maybe I'm just not good enough. That's why I keep getting passed up. That's self-blame. Fact, fiction. If we separate these events, the events in your life can cause you stress. It's your reaction to those events that determine whether you grow from an experience or you're distressed by an experience. Let me say that again so it sounds like you can understand what I'm saying. The events in our lives don't cause stress. It's your reaction to those events that determine whether or not you grow from the experience or you become distressed. And part of what your reaction may be involves the story you tell yourself about the accountability, about what is happening as in fact and fiction. Now, with everything in life, there's a point of something that happens that helps you grow and get to the next stage in your life. It can do that or can tear you apart and affect you and leave you in a stuck position. Fact or fiction. And if it's the latter that causes you distress, and it's all about the story that you have to tell, all that about the story, etc., etc., all of that's emotional. It's your thought process on how you feel about yourself. It's your thought process of how much responsibility you take on for yourself, to yourself, that someone else should be responsible for. And when things go wrong, we take it on. It's our fault. Maybe I didn't do this right. Maybe I didn't do that right. And we keep working on it. And that story becomes our isolation. It becomes the box we want to hide down deep inside of us. We don't want people to see that or know that. So, I did say five things, and I'm going to talk to you about the first one. Do you blame your behavior or your character? It says these big differences between I made a poor choice and I'm a horrible human being. Blaming your behavior means you believe you made a mistake. But you can make better choices in the future. Blaming your character, however, leaves little room for you to change. So if the two things are your behavior and your character. Your behavior, you can make mistakes and make better choices the next time. Your character, however, leaves little room to change. That is your makeup, your character. I don't know how else to say this to you, but that your character is who you are. If you are a person that's very giving, that helps people, that gets something back from doing that, that's your character. If you are a politician and you love the letter of the law and you want to go to Washington to help people in your district and in your state, and you have the ability to balance things and get things done for the people that are counting on you, that's a characteristic. It's not so much of the other. You just might look at hindsight. Hindsight means that when you are looking back, it's easy to think, I should have noticed she was sick. Or I should have recognized that he was only using me to get to what he wanted to get to. But that because you're viewing the situation with the information you now have, so pause for a minute and think about it. Think about whether you really should have seen it coming. Whether you really had the knowledge to prevent something from occurring or happening. The next one was, is there a core belief that I'm protecting? when it comes to shaming and toxic shaming in every type of something that just doesn't work out right and you self-blame yourself. It says, am I protecting my core beliefs, things that make me who I am? Is the belief that the world is good or that certain persons are kind, because you do put unnecessary blame on yourself. Let me read that again, okay? Is your belief that the world is good or that certain people are kind, causing you to put unnecessary blame on yourself? Think for a moment what it would mean. What it would mean if something wasn't your fault. What would it mean if something wasn't your fault at all? Would that be tough for you to believe if a friend told you? And try offering yourself the same tough to believe, because it would impact the way you see the world. I kind of diverse for a minute. My eyes went down a little bit farther than it should have been. So we were on the portion where it says, is there a core belief that you're protecting? And underneath that, Ms. Moran is saying, is your belief that the world is good or that certain person is kind, causing you to put unnecessary blame on yourself? It goes on to say, think for a moment about what would it mean if something wasn't your fault at all. Would it be tough to believe because it's an impact on the way you see the world? Okay. Everybody has their core beliefs. Say, for example, we're going to go back to the doctor that was a U.S. gymnastic physician. The young ladies were being molested and raped, and their core beliefs of, well, he's the gymnastics doctor, he is God, a core belief that he wouldn't be doing anything that's bad, even though deep down inside you're feeling, this is wrong. You don't have an avenue, talk to somebody about it, so you keep it to yourself. And you blame yourself for what happened every time, because he's God. Now, it says, would you be, would it be tough to believe that you were not at fault? Because it would impact the way you see the world. If your core beliefs are questioned and put to test, would it be different? Would you be protecting your core beliefs, or would you just say, okay, this is the way things are, I can't do anything about it, hopeless, helpless, not empowered? Next one. What would you say to a friend who told you this? If you had a friend that's going through the same thing on her job, sexual harassment, and her boss told her, look, as a man's world, you're trying to fill man's shoes, baby, you got to pay to play. and she's going through the same thing that you are, what would you say to that person? You know, how could you help that person? Miss Moore says, it's easy to tell your friend that her child development delay or her struggle to have a child aren't her fault. But it can be much harder to give yourself the advice. So take a minute to consider what you say to a friend and try offering yourself the same assurance. Well, this is the end of our chapter because the rest of the book is about steps and teaching you steps as a script, okay, and about changing your story. You tell about yourself, about changing, you know, what you're made of, and asking for forgiveness, being with reparation, and it divides it up between your career, your family, and your social life. And the reason why I'm not going to go through that is because it's not information that needs to be passed on. Well, I hope I helped someone today. I realized that I did a lot of reading, looking down, because I was trying to make sure I delivered the sentences correctly. But I'm going to say this, is that, yes, we have avenues now to report inappropriate behavior of others. Yes, we do. And when you can't make your goals or you miss something, know that you can make a mistake. And I ask you, seek out those people that will nurture you. And what's the word I want to use? I have it on top of my tongue. Not nurture. I can't remember what it was. Can't remember. So, what nurture and be in your corner, be your cheerleader, and help you, empower you. Well, guys, this chapter was very, very hard for me. And I'm going to briefly tell you why. I don't call myself a victim. I call myself a survivor of sexual, physical, and emotional abuse from age 4 to age 15. So I am a survivor. And believe me, like I told you earlier, I said, sometimes we try to bury that stuff down deep. Yeah, it comes up out the most inappropriate time. But I hope that I did help someone. And I enjoy talking to you all about everything. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Well, like I say always, kiss the ones you love and let them know that you love them. If you have children, hug them tight, squeeze them, and let them know how important they are to you and that you love them also. Why? Because tomorrow is not promised. So we must make our memories today so our legacy will live on. I love you all. Take care, and I'll see you on the flip side. Peace out.